Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. You have made it to the finale of my Gravity Daze video walkthrough. This is episode 21, No Rest for the Virtuous. We're going to be taking on the final boss, which is this huge deformed eyeball thing, and all I'm going to be doing here is attacking it, and the game's going to tell me nothing works, because this is one of those moments where it has a little power trip, and it cannot actually be damaged. Here is when the boss fight actually begins. So, you'll notice this thing is rotating, and it has these strange kind of limbs that have eyeballs on them. That's what you want to attack. You want to attack that crazy eye-looking thing. You get a couple of attacks, and then it knocks you away. You can choose to avoid the damage if you want to, and you want to be a little bit more skillful on the play, or you can commit to doing damage, take the hit, and then pick up some life. That's what I'm going to do. I do not have the most upgraded life, but I can still take those hits, so everything should be fine. And then get back in there, do your dive kicks, and get the job done, because there's a couple of different extensions of this battle. It has a few phases, a few different forms, and each of them is a little bit different in some ways. It's not the best fight. I would have preferred a 1v1 against somebody super agile like yourself, but this is what they wanted to do, so this is what we've got to do. It takes a little while to get going with this because it's difficult to see where the eye stops, and then when the eye stops it's difficult to get into a position to hit it, and then by the time you've positioned yourself, the boss has damaged you. So as you can imagine, it can be a little bit awkward. And I have no life at the moment, so I should probably go and top myself up. The good news is the checkpoints here are really, really solid, so if you do die, you don't lose a lot of progress. Here's me trying to finish the boss with a special, here's a cutscene, and it filled my life, because this is a great game. I love games that fill your life, unless it's Yakuza, where I actually want my life to be low, but that's neither here nor there. So that was a failed special. You might be wondering why I did that. I can't control the lock-on guys. I assumed she would go towards the orbs and do damage, but instead she locked onto nothing and flew off into the distance like a silly tit. And, you know, I was just left to watch it because you can't cancel the animation, I don't think. But this time it has 3 orbs to attack, and there's a couple of Nevi in the sky that are going to be attacking us, so keep on with your dive kick assault, keep on getting HP every time you take a little bit of damage, just to top yourself up, and then get back in the fight. These first 2 phases, pretty standard stuff. If you can make your special do most of the work, you can do this really quickly, but I've shown you some pretty compelling ways to waste specials, so imitate what I did for the first one, do not imitate what I did for the second one. The second one was not good. But keep on dive kicking, keep on getting that damage. It's a pretty simple premise, pretty simple fight, not the most enjoyable thing, but there it was. Look at that, that's way better. I'm kind of in glitch land at the moment, that's not too good. Can we get out? There we go. And then dive kick, and he spins, of course, because why would he not? Also, if you've spec'd your character to throw debris, that might be a really good strategy here, just chucking benches and shit and doing massive damage, but I've never really done that in this game. I've always been a dive kicker, because it's what I really like. I love the mobility of it, but get your damage, and then the final phase is going to begin very shortly, where the fight gets a little different, and in my opinion it gets a little dumb. Not that this is clever or even remotely intelligent, it's just kind of standard. But the next phase, you have to use other people to put the boss into a stunned state, and then the boss recovers a little quickly for my tastes, as I'm getting bummed here trying to destroy this last orb. There's the orb, there's the special, this does decent damage, and this is the final phase. So, dive kick up to this cannon. I don't think you can do anything on this moment, you're just waiting for the game to tell you to progress, and then it's going to start the actual final phase. It's one of those interesting moments where the trigger is not immediately noticeable, and I just kind of come near this enemy, and it takes us to where we need to be. You'll notice it's pointing below us, so you want to move towards whatever point's pink, because it's usually the sign of where to go in this game. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red, it all depends. And then after a while it's just going to go to the next sequence, because she's going to do a little exposition, how am I supposed to stop this thing, all that kind of stuff. And then the next phase, guys, you have to bait this creature into chasing you into either Raven or Unica. And Raven will stun the boss so you can attack it, and I think Unica will shoot it doing a fixed amount of damage. And you have to keep chasing it, get it to chase you, sorry, and then leading it to those people. And then after that you can kind of damage them that way. But it wants me to go for a finisher with this creation guy, so go over to him, press triangle when you get close. It's going to do one of those weird moments, and then after this we're going to get to the next form of the fight. So here's the super move. Here's that dude who apparently created things. This game is confusing. I'm not even going to pretend to understand like I know what's going on. Here is that weird arc contraption that's got all the kiddies in it. That makes perfect sense, right? And here's the final boss. So, there's a couple of life to begin with, a couple of jewels of HP. Pick them up if you're lacking. You are timed on this sequence, and this boss is going to get really aggressive. So what you want to do is you want to close the distance, and I think in this... Wow, that hurt. Here's me doing my special to try and do some damage. Does it even hurt the boss at this point? It does. Nice. It just doesn't do any good damage, so don't do this. It's a waste of time. Get close to him, and then do the Y. It'll do way more damage. So at this point, all you want to do is damage the casing. Keep on damaging the casing. Dive kicks, any kind of attack will do it. Use your special intelligently and use the correct ones. And then after this, it's going to trigger the part I was discussing earlier. So just dive kick, spam the dive kick. What I do on this is I use my left hand to control the right analog to keep the camera and aim the dive kicks. So I can keep smashing the dive kick button without having to care. But here's the next phase. It puts me in a little bit of a bad spot because the boss is inside me, not in a good way. And then I run out of energy, which is always fun. So I think I'm going to get some life back quickly, and then we're going to start leading this dude towards the other girls. Lead it to me, Raven. So you'll notice it says 300 meters that way, or 300 yards. So start dive kicking towards her. As soon as you get to her, it's going to trigger a cutscene, and it will dictate what happens next depending on who you lead him to. So Raven, I believe, neutralizes the boss so that you can then attack it, whereas the other one just does damage. So come over here, and then it'll trigger a cutscene, and then Raven's going to do her special move. So here she comes, she halts it for you, and all you want to do is hit it with your special triangle spin move, but I don't have it, so I'm going to dive kick it, and then just spam dive kicks. Spam as quickly as you can, get some big damage, and then the moment it recovers, you want to fly towards the other girl. You'll notice I go into my special as it recovers, and it takes 0 damage because this game is a lie. I cannot stand that kind of iframe bullshit on bosses. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. But now he's going to be chasing you, and he's very aggressive, he stays very close, but if you dive kick, he doesn't stand a chance of catching you. Go all the way to Unica. She's going to do straight damage. She doesn't stun the boss, I don't think. She just does damage. And I'm going to make a mistake here. I thought she stunned it as well. So I'm going to go in, try and do some attacks on him, and he's going to hurt me because I don't think it counts as a full stun. We'll see though. So I go in, that's 1 damage, and boom, he hurts. He's doing his special moves and then he's spinning, and I'm like, what the fuck, where was the stun? And I nearly died just then because this boss is all crazy and what have you. So getting back over towards Raven, and she's going to stop him for good, and then you can use your special and your dive kicks to kill him properly. But wasn't that kind of strange? I got 1 kick and he instantly recovered and nearly killed me. Couldn't tell you why it worked that way, it just kind of did. But this should be the end of the fight, and the end of the video, hopefully, unless I mess it up. And I think I'm going to mess it up, you know, because it's just how it works. So dive kick, dive kick, dive kick. Ooh, I ran out of my abilities. I am going to mess it up. And look, he gets iframes again right as I'm about to kill him. That is the most frustrating thing in the game right there. There is nothing worse. There really isn't. You know, people getting brutally murdered in all kinds of parts of the world, having their hands chopped off, you know, essentially being treated less than their worth, yet in this video game, enemies having iframes is the worst thing in the world. Not world hunger or world suffering or war and famine. Iframes on bosses that don't deserve it. If that isn't a first world problem, I don't know what is. But there's the triangle, guys. This is the end of the final boss and the end of my Gravity Daze walkthrough. So if you made it this far and you have no interest in this game, you just came here to check out the opinions and listen to the commentary, then I'd like to thank you sincerely, because it's always great to have those people that are that invested in the channel. If you came here for help and it actually helped you, I'd like to thank you too. Thank you for using the video, it did what it's designed to do. And if you didn't come, it's a shame, because I think you missed out on something a little different, something a little slower paced and outside of the box of the games I usually cover. But thank you very much for watching, guys, and you take care now.